All right, and we are live. All right. So the title of this episode will be "'Tis the Season to Give." It's all about giving to false related projects. So it's that time of year. It's the end of the year, the holiday season. It's when many free and open source projects are trying to raise money. They're having drives to get money. And I want to discuss, some of the ones that I donate to. I want you guys to share what you donate to or maybe thinking about donating to. One of the things, though, I definitely need to do before we get started is to get my stuff in order here in OBS. So guys, give me just a second. So when this video is actually live on YouTube after the live stream, for those of you that watch this, days or weeks later, I had some issues with this live stream. So that's why I've got to reset some stuff here. And that first half hour or so that it took me to get everything working in OBS, I'm going to delete all of that after the fact. Me playing the recorder and all of that. That was just to not have some dead air. All right, but we are back in business. Yeah, Big Pod. Contact me if you need the old recording. Nah, I think I'm good on that. I can pull out the recorder or the trombone or, all of that anytime. Get it fixed. Yes, we are ready to go. So it was an encoder problem. Was not set to CPU encoding. It was set to VAPI, V-A-A-P-I, that particular encoder, which works great. When I do my pre-recorded stuff, it works just fine. Apparently, it doesn't like live streaming, though. The CPU encoder with my Threadripper, though, works fine. Pre-recorded stuff, live streaming, the Threadripper handles everything. Probably an OBS update messed up your encoder. It was probably an update that messed something up. Whether it was an OBS update or the encoder itself was updated, I mean, who knows? Could have been anything. These are the problems you run into live streaming, though. That's why, to be honest, I don't do very many of these. Every time I do a live stream, something is going to go wrong. All right. All right, so today I wanted to discuss a little bit of the false projects that I like to give to. So many people say that we, as the free and open source community, we do not like to give money. We do not like to donate monetarily to the projects that we love. And to be honest, I think that criticism is a little bit unfounded. Because there have been studies that show that us, the Linux community, we typically give more money than Windows users and Mac users when we donate to software projects. We just do. We tend to be much more generous with giving money, which makes sense given the nature of free and open source software and the free and open source communities. But when you hear a lot of people talk about how we, as the community, we don't put money where our mouth is, right? We talk a good game, but we never really donate to the projects, to the software we use on a daily basis. And there is some merit to that, right? There's a lot of people that use stuff on a daily basis that make money with that free and open source software that they use on a daily basis that have never donated a dime to those projects. I get that, but not everybody is financially able to donate. We all understand that, but those of us that are, I think, do give money and give generously to these projects. I think the biggest problem is not the community itself giving money. I think it's the projects themselves simply not asking for money, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit too. But I just wanted to discuss a few of the projects that I like to give to. So let's talk first Linux distributions. Linux distributions, many of them do a horrible job of trying to raise money. Many of these Linux distributions are small teams, and they need money. They need money to pay developers and to pay artists, pay, people that run their forums. They need cash in the bank to pay those people, especially some of the smaller distros that are starting to get bigger. They're trying to hire people to work full time on their distros. And some of those distros do not do a very good job of just asking for money. So one of the ones I think does a great job, Elementary OS. Some people criticize Elementary OS because of the fact that, when you go to their page, they're asking for money all the time. They'll email you about asking for money. When you go and download the ISO, they ask for money. I have no problem with that. I think that is absolutely the right thing to do. If you are using their product, donate. Just donate to it. So I have been a patron, actually, of Elementary OS. Elementary OS has a Patreon account, which, because I'm on Patreon, typically, since it's so easy, I'm already there. If a distro has a Patreon, I will typically give money to them. And somebody in the chat is asking who criticizes them. Well, I've seen people that criticize Elementary in particular, but even other distros. Ubuntu asks for money at the download page, and there are people that actually do criticize that. I don't get why, because these people do need money, right? I mean, they're not doing it for free. I mean, you're getting the product, they're putting it out there for free, but somebody has to invest a ton of time to create this stuff. But yeah, trust me, people do criticize. And anyway, back to the Patreon. Since I'm already on Patreon, most of you guys probably have a Patreon account. Patreon is certainly the biggest platform for that. So if you're already on Patreon, look for some of your favorite Linux distributions on Patreon. I can tell you most of them will not be there. And this is part of the problem, is some of these distributions, the people that run them, they are not business people. Most of the lead devs out there, all they want to do is write code. And because of that, they have no idea how to even begin to raise funds for anything. So Elementary, though, they do a great job. They're on Patreon. Like I said, you'll get emails about donating money to them. And, if you're signed up on their forums, you'll hear about it. And I have been a patron of Elementary OS for a while now, probably a year or more. I'm actually not sure. I give them like $5 a month or so for, funding their development. I don't use Elementary OS. Never. I've installed it on some of my machines, just to test it out because I review distros. Elementary OS is not a distro I would ever use, but I've given them, probably $50 to $100, in donations in the last year or two, just because I think it's a worthwhile project. These guys are asking for money. I see the work they do. I see the hard work they put into this, so I give them money. And if you guys, I know a lot of you guys actually do use Elementary OS. If you use Elementary OS, and give them some cash. I think they deserve it. Some other, let me go to my Patreon page real quick. Let us actually do a quick search for some of the ones I know are on Patreon. So if I look up, I know one I've donated a lot to in the past is Ubuntu Budgie. I have had Ubuntu Budgie installed on some of my laptops before in the past, and I do like the Budgie desktop environment. I think it is one of the best full-featured desktop environments out there. I think it would be great to promote to the masses, even though I'm not a desktop environment guy. I like the Budgie desktop, and I think Ubuntu Budgie does a better Budgie than Solus even. So I give these guys money. And like I said, I don't really use either Elementary or Ubuntu Budgie, but hey, why not? Another one I donate money to is Slackware. So Slackware just recently started a Patreon. So the main dev of Slackware was having some serious financial issues, really a financial crisis. He could no longer really continue developing Slackware if things didn't change. He was having health issues. He couldn't afford doctor visits, medical attention, medicine. It was getting to that point. So he recently started a Patreon page because the community was like, hey man, we'll support you. We'll give you money. Just tell us where to go to give you money. And the main dev, Patrick, again, he was one of these guys. All he's done is code. All he's done is be the main dev of Slackware for like 30 years. So he doesn't even know how to set up a Patreon or PayPal or anything like that. So it was really hard to get this guy, set up. The community was like, hey man, you need to set up this stuff. You just set it up, we'll throw money at you. And thankfully, he set up a PayPal account where people gave him money, and then he eventually set up a Patreon page, which, of course, you can subscribe to it and give this guy a recurring monthly payment. And again, I don't use Slackware. I love Slackware. I don't personally use it. It's not my kind of distro. It's slow, not slow, but it's stable. It's a very stable distro, and I like, bleeding edge, rolling release distros. So I'm not a Slackware user, but I certainly respect Slackware, and it is the oldest active Linux distribution still in existence, and it almost died about a year ago. It was that close. But now they're doing well. It looks like they're being funded. If I'm looking at their Patreon, it doesn't give me an amount or anything or how many patrons they got. I bet, though, he's got, 1,000, couple thousand probably dollars a month coming in from Patreon. I'd be shocked if he didn't, because that many people probably are willing to help out the Slackware dev, even if they don't even use Slackware. I know I was when I heard the story. Another distribution that I know is on Patreon and I don't personally use at the moment. I've used it a little bit in the past. Sabian. This was another one that a few months back, these guys were not on Patreon. They were, hey, we need to raise money. We don't know how. We don't even know where to begin to raise money. I actually talked to, I don't know if it was the main dev of Sabian, but a guy that did some work with the Sabian team. He's like, hey man, I see, you do a YouTube channel and, see you do things to raise money, to support yourself as far as your content. What do we need to do? And I was like, hey man, just set up a Patreon. Set up a Patreon. Everybody's already there. All the people that you're probably going to ask for donations, more than half of them already have a Patreon account. Just set up a Patreon. You'll get the donations. And that's what they did. And when they set it up, I subscribed to their Patreon. I really like Sabian, by the way. It's a great Gentoo-based distribution. One I recently became a patron of because I actually do use this Linux distribution. I love this Linux distribution. Matter of fact, I just subscribed in the last month or two, and I kind of feel bad that I wasn't subscribed to them before, but Arco Linux. Arco Linux is just fantastic. Probably my favorite Arch-based Linux distribution because it has so many different levels to it, so many different ISOs, depending on your user level, what you're comfortable with. You can do full command line installs, or you can just do the simple Calamares installer where you click OK 3 or 4 times and you're done in 10 minutes. They have a variety of desktop environments, window managers. So Arco Linux is great. Some of the other ones I'm not subscribed to at the moment, but I know are on Patreon. I know Ubuntu Mate has a Patreon. I know Linux Mint has a Patreon. I think Arch Labs has a Patreon. Archbang has a Patreon. Calculate Linux, another Gentoo-based distribution. Calculate, I think, has a Patreon. That's about it. I just named, 9 or 10 Linux distributions that have a Patreon page. That's all the ones I can name. If you're active in your Linux distributions community and they are struggling to raise funds, let them know about Patreon. This is by far the easiest way for them to collect money. Just set up a Patreon account. It takes like 2 minutes to set up a Patreon account, and I promise you they would have subscribers immediately if they just do that. So I'm putting that out there because I know some of you guys are probably using smaller distributions with small development teams. Some of those development teams are hurting for cash. Again, just tell them how easy it is to set up a Patreon. Tell them how easy it is to set up a PayPal account as well, so they can just get one-time donations through PayPal if people prefer to do that rather than Patreon. Well, let me catch up on the chat here. I know some of you guys had sent some super chats. I apologize. Let me go back and read that. Joe Panico, how you doing, Joe? Appreciate the super chat, buddy. A Merry Christmas to you and your family, Derek. The same to you, Joe. Merry Christmas. Hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hopefully I'll catch up to you before then, though. All right. Blackworm, I appreciate your super chat as well. He says, I donate monthly to a handful of false projects. The other day I wanted to donate to Cinelera GG Infinity, which is an amazing video editor for Linux, but couldn't find a way to donate. So I gave up. And I am going to specifically mention a few projects that I have wanted to donate to. And I've went to their page, and literally you cannot find anywhere on their website a way to donate money to. And this is the problem. Some of these projects, it's not that they're not interested in raising money. I think if you ask them, they want money, but they don't even really know how to go about it. So that's part of the problem. I have one more super chat here to read. Is it Key Zero Wiz or O-Wiz? I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. I apologize. It says, look into ham radio on Linux. It's cool. Getting into ham radio would probably be an expensive undertaking and probably not something worth my time, to be honest. It's not for me. But I do appreciate the super chat. Yeah, Travis is also agreeing. Yeah, look into ham radio. All right. Oh, by the way, I am having a holiday brew here. Holiday Cheer by Shiner. This, I've never had the Holiday Cheer by Shiner. I just picked it up this evening because I knew I would be doing a Christmassy live stream, so I thought I'd pick up an appropriate beer. This is strange. If you happen to see the Shiner Holiday Cheer, it is brewed with peaches and pecans. So it's got a peachy, kind of fruity flavor to it, but at the same time, kind of odd. I mean, it's got that malted barley kind of beer taste to it, but it's got a hint of peaches. It's a little strange. Had I known it was peach flavored, I probably would have went with something else. It's not horrible. It's not a bad beer, but not my kind of beer. Oh, that is KE0Wiz. It's his call sign. Call sign, I'm assuming, is a ham radio thing. All right. Know nothing about ham radio. Sorry, guys. But yeah, I appreciate the super chat. KE0Wiz. All right. So some of the distributions that I have found that do really poor jobs of raising funds, obviously they don't have a clue. Let's talk about Solus, because I like Solus as a project. I think they do some cool and interesting things. I mentioned I'm a subscriber, longtime subscriber of Ubuntu Budgie's Patreon, because I like their version of the Budgie desktop, and they work on the Budgie desktop. Of course, the Budgie desktop was created by the Solus guys, but how do I give these guys money? When you go to their homepage, home, about, blog, download, help center form, get involved. I don't see a button for donate or anything like that. If I go down to the bottom where you have some more links, you have about, download, experiences, roadmap, team, have social media links, press center, branding, nothing about, hey, here's how you can give us some money. I'm here. I want to give these guys some money. Where do I go? If I choose get involved, it tells me how to get involved with the project or how to talk to these guys on their forums and IRC chats and various social media accounts. Nothing about donating cash. Zero. There's nothing here. Another Linux distribution I really respect for what they do is Void Linux. Void Linux. Same thing. At the top, their main tabs, home, news, download packages, documentation form, GitHub. Nowhere on this page are you going to find any kind of link or a call to action to give them money. And really, even contributing things like code or your time or artwork, getting involved. I mean, I don't even see anything like that, much less, hey, here's just a quick link to a PayPal account where you can donate some money. So that's just two distributions right there that are not good as far as raising funds. You guys, I know a lot of you guys probably watching right now. If you are a Solus user or a Void user and you're active in their community, yeah, let those guys know, hey, people are out there and they want to help you out. They want to contribute. They want to contribute money. but you got to make it a little easier for us. Yeah, DT, I've talked to the developers of Void. I believe they are planning on having a donate page. Yeah. Yeah. Alex says Ubuntu does not need donations. Canonical, the corporation behind Ubuntu, maybe doesn't need donations. But there are people that do contribute their time freely to work on Ubuntu. Just a second, guys. Yeah. Richard says, crap, I missed that the live stream had restarted. You didn't miss too much. I was just covering a few distributions that I like to donate to. I've donated money to in the past, and a few that I would like to donate money to, but I can't find a way to. It's because this is the problem with a lot of these free and open source projects, is some of them just don't provide a good path as far as donating money to. Now, let's get into not Linux distributions, but free and open source software in general. Projects I've given money to in the past, because typically you get toward the end of the year, they're doing fundraising drives, and I try to donate money to the stuff I use on a regular basis. And some of the big ones for me, Kdenlive. Kdenlive, they have a fundraising drive at the end of every year, it seems like. Yeah, matter of fact, if you hang out on any kind of Linux forums, you'll probably see posts. Kdenlive is raising money or asking for donation. Yeah, give them some money. If you guys do any kind of video creation and you use Kdenlive, give those guys some money. It's really impressive. You know how hard it is to create a video editor. A video editor, especially as full-featured as something like Kdenlive, for free, right? So I will donate to Kdenlive on occasion. GIMP. Love GIMP. Been using GIMP forever. For over a decade probably. Love GIMP. So they are pretty good about asking for donations as well. Kdenlive and GIMP both. You go to like their websites, their official websites. There's donate buttons on the page. It's easy to contribute to those projects. OBS, which is what I'm using to do this live stream. It's what I use to record my pre-recorded stuff. The Open Broadcaster software, great project. Audacity, the audio editor, Audacity. You go to their page, there's big donate buttons right there. Very easy to give those guys some money, and they definitely deserve it. VLC. There's probably tens of millions or even hundreds of millions of people out there using VLC, right? It's free and open source software. And they do a good job, though, of at least asking for money. You go to the VLC page, I think it's right there at the top. Hey, donate to VLC. If you use it, you love it, you got a couple bucks extra, yeah, give the VLC guys a little cash. FFmpeg. Now, here is one. Let me actually Google this one. Because I was thinking about this earlier. FFmpeg. Because everything I just named, Kdenlive, GIMP, well, not GIMP, Kdenlive, OBS, Audacity, VLC, they all depend on FFmpeg. FFmpeg is the magic behind most of your audio and video editors, audio and video players. So if you wanted to contribute to several of these projects, like I want to contribute to everything, Kdenlive, OBS, Audacity, VLC, everything I use, you know what? If you give the FFmpeg guys some money, you contributed also to those other projects because they all depend on FFmpeg. And right here in the sidebar, I see they have a very convenient donate page and multiple ways of donating, which is always nice. You always want to have, at least 2 or 3 ways to donate money. It looks like PayPal is their preferred way. You can also do a credit card payment through Click and Pledge, which I've heard of that before. I've never used Click and Pledge, though. Some other bigger projects, again, with hundreds of millions of users. Firefox, the Mozilla Foundation, you can give them money. I know a lot of the free and open source community kind of shies away from giving such a big organization like Mozilla money, but it is free and open source software and they do really good work. I've been a user of Firefox and Thunderbird since the beginning. I've got no problem giving those guys money. I know other people have a different opinion of Mozilla. So be it. LibreOffice, another very big organization that there's hundreds of millions of people out there that use LibreOffice on a daily basis, not just on Linux. When we're talking about VLC, LibreOffice, Firefox, I'm talking about hundreds of millions of people using them. Most of them are on Windows, right? Windows, Mac, Linux. So it's cross-platform, free and open source software. And really important projects, they all ask for money. Again, I know a lot of us shy from giving those bigger projects money. You know, we want to focus on the small teams, which honestly, the smaller teams do need the most help. But again, you know, don't forget about the big guys. Back to the chat for a second. Yeah, donate to the GNU herd so that it can finally be finished. We might actually talk about donating to GNU here in a second. We're going to go over some organizations, some free and open source organizations, because we've talked about distros to donate to. We've talked about free and open source software projects to donate to. Let's talk about the organizations. So some of the ones that are obvious. So I personally am a member of the Free Software Foundation. Well, So the Free Software Foundation obviously is one of the most well-known of these nonprofit organizations that are out there fighting for your rights, your digital privacy, your digital freedom, your digital rights, right? The Free Software Foundation is probably the biggest fighter in that regard. And it's such an important organization. I'm a member. You can just click the join now here and join them. I think a regular membership, which is what I have, costs $200 or $300. I forget exactly. I know they have a student membership that is $60. And I don't think they ask for proof that you're like a student. So if you don't have the $200 or the $350 or whatever it is for those regular memberships, you know, $60. You have $60. Just say you're a student. Like I said, I don't think they check anything. It's just, you know, it's just another pay tier there for people maybe that, you know, some of the other pay tiers here are just too steep for. If you can choose the $60 annual, that's a great way to go. Or if you just want to do $10 a month, they do offer monthly memberships for $10 and $5 a month. I don't know if there is any kind of one-time payment options where you can just send them, you know, whatever you got on you at the time without becoming a member. But the Free Software Foundation, that's kind of the big one to join. Some other ones that are worth joining. Let's see. One of the big ones would be the Open Source Initiative. Let's see if I can pull up their page. You guys that are not familiar with the Open Source Initiative, these are the guys that really kind of help define what open source software is, and you can of course join them as well. There are membership options. Another one that you could join, as a matter of fact, a really important one would be the EFF, which is the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Again, another one that's out there protecting your digital rights, your electronic, your internet rights. So the Electronic Frontier Foundation, if you didn't want to donate to something like the Free Software Foundation, which is the one I would strongly urge you to, if you're going to donate to any of these, the Free Software Foundation is a good one to donate to. The EFF is definitely a good one to donate to. There's also the Software Freedom Conservancy, the SFC. I'm not sure if I guess I've never searched for their website, but I know it's in here somewhere. There it is. I've never donated to the Software Freedom Conservancy, but it's a worthy cause. Other larger organizations that promote free and open source software. Do you guys love GNOME? The GNOME desktop environment, all the GNOME utilities, you know, all that stuff. The GNOME Foundation. Donate to it. The GNOME Foundation has a website, and the GNOME Foundation does ask for donations. The Apache Foundation. the guys behind the Apache server, but they do much more than just the Apache server. They are an actual foundation that promotes free and open source software. They have, of course, the Apache license, which is a free license. They do a lot of work with the community. The Apache Foundation might be something worth donating a few bucks to as well. Anyway, I covered a bunch of stuff, right? Some stuff I've given money to in the past or would consider giving money to. You guys in the chat, you want to share anything I missed? Feel free to throw anything out that you feel like deserves some attention. All right, I'm going to go back, try to catch up on some of the chat. I won't be able to catch up on all of it. Alex says he believes Flatpak has a donation option. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Daniel says, hello, DT. How are you today? I'm doing great, Daniel. Thanks for asking. Mr. GFY says, without the GNU tools, the Linux kernel would have never been. Yes, obviously, we mentioned the Free Software Foundation. Also, donate to the GNU project. You can find them at gnu.org. Pull that up. Yeah, we really definitely want to talk about these guys. So give the GNU guys some money. Now, some people would probably say, well, why give the Free Software Foundation some money and the GNU project some money? Aren't they kind of one and the same? Not really, no. Even though they were both founded by the same guy, two very different organizations with different things going on. So the Free Software Foundation, of course, is mainly focused on winning the fight out there as far as promoting free software, your digital privacy, and fighting against things like digital rights management and all that crap. Right? That's what the Free Software Foundation is, and it's a very important mission. The GNU project is all about, of course, writing software. They sponsor a lot of software. You use a lot of the GNU utilities on your Linux installs. Those of you that are running Linux, your operating system depends on a lot of GNU utilities. The core utilities, all GNU utilities. The bash shell is GNU bash, right? And then other stuff that is not usually installed by default on your GNU/Linux distros, but you may install it anyway. You guys, I've been doing a lot of stuff with Emacs on the channel. That's obviously GNU Emacs. I know some of you guys do some accounting and some bookkeeping stuff. One of the most popular ones out there as far as free software is, what is it, GNU Cache. Never used it personally. I'm not in that line of work, but I know it's a very popular program. So they put out some really nice software. So give the GNU guys some money. Let me get back to the chat. And Mr. GFY says he's a regular FSF member. Very cool. I'll look for you, Mr. GFY, over on the FSF forum. I actually don't hang out on that forum. Occasionally I log in and read some of the messages, but I really don't converse much on the Free Software Foundation website. Well, I guess I should, since I'm a member. Let's see. Yeah, Steve's very own says, hello, Derek. How you doing? Steve, good to see you. Yeah, Blackworm says he started donating to GNOME after that whole patent troll lawsuit situation. Yeah. So they requested funds from the community to fight the patent trolls, and they got a big response, right? So, and that's what I was talking about. I think there is this disconnect. I think some people put it out there that we don't donate. We have no problems donating. We'll donate to any project out there that's worthy, that we feel is worthy. It's just some of these people, they don't ask. Where GNOME put it out there, hey, we've got this situation. We need some money. Can you help us? And everybody rushed to help them. The situation with the Slackware dev I was talking about earlier, the same situation. This guy was flat busted, and he was maybe going to have to give up on being the main dev of Slackware. And we're like, oh, nope, just set up a Patreon. We got you. So it's just some of these projects, again, they just need to do a better job of asking for money and making it easier for us to give them money. Yeah. All right, back to the YouTube chat. Is GNU an actual operating system, or is it just a front end for Emacs? So GNU, the core utils and the compiler and the shell and everything was supposed to be part of a larger GNU operating system. The problem is they got all the other stuff done. They never could get the actual kernel to work, which was the herd kernel, the GNU herd kernel. Linus Torvalds got Linux up and running very quickly. He put out the Linux kernel and it worked right away. So eventually the GNU guys just, we'll put GNU and Linux together and you got GNU/Linux. There you go. So there isn't a GNU operating system out there. It's just GNU/Linux instead of all GNU. You're never going to have a GNU operating system at this point. The herd kernel's never going to be finished. And even if they did finish it, why would anybody use it? We've already got the Linux kernel. So, yeah, Derek, you may have already done it, but in case you haven't, check out Ethan Schnoover's, I hope I pronounced his name right, Xmonad demo. It's beautiful. I'm hacking on it for my own setup currently. I think you'd like it. Yeah, I might check that out. The name sounds familiar. Ethan. Is that the guy that created the solarized color scheme? I think that's where I know the name from. He does some other stuff too. He does some other software stuff, but I believe he's the one that created the famous solarized color scheme that so many people use. Yeah, so what happened to the patent troll? I believe the patent troll dropped the lawsuit once they realized that GNOME was not going to go down without a fight. A lot of these patent trolls, they sue these people hoping for a quick settlement. Hey, just pay us some cash and we'll go away. And if you don't do that, then it's not really worth their time to spend a lot of money and fight you in court unless they know for sure they're going to win. Yeah, so Mr. GFY, I don't chat there, talking about the Free Software Foundation website, but you hang out there and you stay up to date with the digital rights movement. Yeah, there's actual live events by challenging in courtrooms our digital freedoms. Yeah. And the way you feel about window managers is the same way I feel about GNOME 2 or Mate, only desktop that I will run. And Mr. GFY says GNU is tools. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, Luke says that's the guy. Schoonover. Okay. And he is the guy that created the solarized color scheme. I thought I recognized the name. Yeah, I'll check out his Xmonad stuff if I haven't already seen it. If it's on YouTube, I'll do a search for it. Might be something I check out this evening before bed. Warhawk, I've never personally liked the solarized color scheme. Oh, I quite like it. I like the dark one. The light one's okay. It's supposed to be easier on your eyes than a lot of other color schemes. I don't know about that. But it looks good. Alright. Well, I have covered some of the Christmassy stuff that I wanted to cover as far as donations, but there was one other thing I really wanted to cover. So I found this article. It was written a couple of months ago, back in November actually, celebrate Christmas in a Linuxy sort of way here. And one of the things you can do, you see the screenshot here where you have snowflakes falling in your GNOME desktop. There is a GNOME extension that will have a snowstorm basically on your screen. I don't know why you would want that. But if you are a GNOME user, you can certainly have snow falling on your desktop. But one of the neat things that I thought, yeah, I would definitely use is this right here, curl, and then this link. You guys, I've played around with curl a little bit on the channel before. You guys know what curl is and what it's about to do. It's going to draw this Christmas tree on the screen. Merry Christmas and lots of code in 2020. Very cool. Let me Control C to kill that. Some of the other things discussed in this article. You could also draw a Christmas tree in your terminal with this Perl install. But if you do that, the author mentions it's kind of a pain uninstalling these Perl modules after you install them. So it may not be something you want to do. I think the curl command is really cool. But you may or may not want to play around with the Perl one. And then, of course, Christmas wallpapers Shows us some really neat Christmassy wallpapers. Most of them involve cartoon characters. Penguins and lots of penguins. And snowmen. Anyway, I'll put a link to that for those of you wanting that curl command and for those of you that may want those wallpapers. So I just posted that in the YouTube chat for those of you that want it. All right. Yeah, Xmas tree in the terminal, please. Yeah. Well, you knew there had to be one out there anyway. You can pretty much do anything you want to in the terminal. And Penguin Revolution says, I use any desktop environment that works. Well, they all work. Yeah, at the end of the day, they all work. You can give me any of them. Any desktop environment, any window manager. Heck, you could just give me the command line. You know, I can make it work. I can make anything work for a while. For most things. Now, obviously, once you go command line only, obviously you're going to be limited in what you can do as far as, you know, if you got to do anything with graphics or video. But talking about, you know, your standard desktop environments and window managers, all of them work. Now, I can make any of them work. I may or may not like some as much as I like others, but I can live in anything. I can live in any distro. I can live in any desktop. Yeah, Warhawk says, I actually use Qtile as a daily driver. It's my favorite window manager. It's not bad. Qtile has always been one of my favorites. One of the reasons why I promoted it heavily on the channel early on is I thought it was one of those window managers nobody had ever heard of. Nobody used. You never saw screenshots of it. Really, until I started posting videos about it, you couldn't find anything about Qtile on the internet. You know, nobody knew Qtile existed, practically. Thankfully, that has changed a lot. Since I started posting videos about it, lots more people are talking about Qtile. I see a lot more screenshots of Qtile over on Reddit's, you know, Unix porn subreddit. I see Qtile screenshots. I see people using my Qtile configs out there, you know, which is really cool. And then, of course, Arco Linux created a Qtile edition. You know, the fact that we went from nobody ever heard of Qtile till, you know, a Linux distribution actually makes a Qtile edition. And we did that within just a few months. You know, it got to that point. So really happy so many people are checking out Qtile. Those of you that have some Python knowledge, hopefully you're contributing some code to the project. And if they need help, I'm sure they do. It's a small team behind it. So if you guys, any of you guys are Pythonistas, yeah, help those guys out. Oh, did my C matrix die back here? I think my C matrix server went down. It's just hibernated. Well, I don't need it. Leviticus says, try Spectre WM one day. Possibly. I don't know anything about Spectre. I'd have to look it up, see what it's all about. You guys that recommended me Stump WM, ooh. I've still got it installed. I haven't logged into it in 2 or 3 weeks. Maybe I should do more with Stump WM. Maybe I didn't give it a fair shot. I mean, I tried it for a couple of weeks, and it was just rough. That was a rough window manager. Because it's not like anything else you'll ever use. But I do love my Qtile. Which is what I've been in the last couple of weeks, Qtile. So this is my current Qtile. Qtile, if those of you familiar with Xmonad, Qtile looks and feels almost exactly like Xmonad. The difference is, you know, the config file is, of course, in Python instead of Haskell. So if I open up, pull up my Qtile config here in Doom Emacs, right? So, and I love the fact that it has the Vim bindings. Anyway. This is my config. I'm not a Python guru, but you guys can check out my GitLab repository. You'll find all my .files. You'll find my Qtile config. And Anyway, it's pretty straightforward. I've got a bunch of key bindings. I define a bunch of colors here to be used later when I define some of the stuff going on in the panel. I define all my workspaces up here and their default layouts. And going a little further, I define all the layouts I want to use. Most of them are commented out. So you see all of these that begin with the hash symbol. These are built-in layouts in Qtile I could use if I wanted to by commenting them out. Now, I uncomment them sometimes if I want to make a video about Qtile and demonstrate some of these. You guys remember the big, like hour-long tiling window manager comparison video I did a couple of months back? You know, for that, I actually had all of these layouts active so I could show you, you know, the various different layouts that are available to you, and not just Qtile, but in most tiling window managers. And the next section is the widget section, which is basically the panel. So this is the panel and each widget in the panel. So this one here, widget group box, is the groups at the top. And then the next one is widget prompt, which I'm not really using. Next one, widget window name, the name of the window with focus. And then the next one is window text box, and it's a Unicode left arrow. That is getting me the power line effects here. And you'll see a lot of those arrow symbols. Anyway, that's the bar at the top. Then I've got three different defining init widget screens, 1, 2, and 3. That is drawing 3 different panels on 3 different monitors because I have a triple monitor system. That's pretty much the end of the config. Anyway, haven't played too much with Doom Emacs since installing it and making the video the other day. Haven't had too much time to play around with Doom Emacs more, you know, playing with its config. It's pretty much the same as I left it on video the other day. But, you know, being that it's still very Vim-like, I'm just going to quit. :Q to quit. Same as Vim. That's so nice. It's, because before that was what? Control-X, Control-C. :Q. Yeah. Yeah, C matrix. Yeah. For those of you asking about, yeah, the matrixy thing that's typically going on my laptops. Yeah. That is C matrix. Although sometimes I do use a different program. You guys probably can't tell because, you know, the camera, it's kind of blurry from, you know, how far away from the camera it is. Sometimes I use a different program called Unimatrix. But it's basically the same thing. The difference is Unimatrix is written in Python, and it looks a little better. You can do some fancier effects in Unimatrix. I did a video about that program, by the way, if you haven't checked it out. That was a while back ago, 6 months ago, maybe a year ago. Yeah, Still Secret says, "Hi DT, how you doing? Merry Christmas. Check out Rainbow Mode in Emacs. I have. Do you listen to music on GNU/Emacs? I don't, but I could. If I pulled up Emacs again, I'll just pull up anything in Emacs. So just had a hotkey for some of my config files. I'll pull up my awesome config, but if I wanted to, what is some of the Emacs music players that are available? Now, I'm not running my standard Emacs config. Of course, this is Doom Emacs, but what is it? EMMS? Is that the music player? It is not available for me. But what I could do, I mean, this is not really what you were talking about, but I could pull up a terminal here in Emacs. This is a terminal running inside Emacs. And, you know, I could launch anything from here. I mean, I could put Seamless here. All right, so some other ones you could play actually inside Emacs. Not just inside the shell in Emacs like I just did, but I believe MOC, Music on Console, works inside Emacs. There's an Emacs plugin for it. There's a few different ones that you can use inside Emacs. So listening to music inside Emacs is pretty straightforward. It's not complicated. And you got a lot of different options. Yeah, Luke says, I've seen EMMS, but Bongo seems better. I've heard about Bongo. I have not checked it out. Yeah, Penguin Revolution says, Emacs, real men use Atom. Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget the very first time I saw a video by Penguin Revolution, and I let you guys know about it. I said, hey, this guy just started a channel. Go check out his stuff. And one of you guys, I guess, that followed me over there left a really nasty comment on his video. You guys asked him, hey, what text editor do you use? And he openly said, hey, I use Atom. And one of you guys said, dude, you suck. Vim or go home. I don't disagree, but I'm just... I'm sure Atom is a fine text editor. I've actually played around with Atom a little bit. Not on purpose. I didn't go out of my way to install it. Some Linux distributions do install Atom, though. It is free and open source software. Looks very pretty. Looks very much like Sublime Text. Another one, I don't know much about Sublime Text because it's not free and open source software, but sometimes you do come across it. Some Linux distributions have it installed, or at least provide an easy way to get it installed if you wanted it. Yeah, Penguin says you muted that guy on your channel. Yeah, sometimes you got to do that. To be honest, I probably should spend more time just banning trolls. I just don't have that kind of time. Like, I would spend so much time if I really had to, like, monitor, like, my comment section on YouTube and things like that. I get crazy emails all the time, and, you know, like, I see something, I just see it's going to be something completely wacko. I just skip it. I don't even read it, but I just move on. But going to the trouble of trying to block people and hide people, it's too much work. If I did that, I wouldn't make as much content as I make. I'd spend all my time dealing with the trolls, and I'm not going to let the trolls win like that, right? Because if I spend that much time fooling with them, then you guys lose. Yeah, Blackworm says, I recently started using Vim. Can't believe what took me so long. Yeah. Vim is really just great software. I mean, it really is. It'll change your life. You do any serious text editing, so you write a lot, right? I'm talking about writing as far as papers, essays, do any kind of scientific writing. And of course, obviously, if you do any programming, you spend all your time in the text editor, right? Having a very extensible text editor like Vim or Emacs will change your life. Not even kidding. So if you haven't checked them, check those out. Check them out. Check Vim out first. You should know Vim. Especially if you're on a Linux system and you kind of want to know more about Linux anyway. Vim is installed on every Linux distro pretty much by default anyway. So oftentimes that's the default editor, especially on server installs or minimal installs like Arch and Gentoo. So it's a good idea to know it. Once you know Vim, if you like those key bindings and the whole Vim modal system, then if you want to move on to something like Emacs, for example, you can do it very easily because of the various Emacs distros out there that are set up to emulate Vim. So you can move between Vim and Emacs, and all your standard key combinations, they just work. They do the exact same thing. It's really nice. Yeah, Warhawk says, I use Vim for minor edits, but I use Genie for editing a lot of stuff in a file, or editing multiple files. Yeah, I like Genie too. For a GUI text editor, Genie's not bad. But Genie, can't do what Vim and Emacs can do. I mean, it's once you get into major, complicated tasks, that require things like macros. That's where something like Vim and Emacs really shines. You need to do some kind of substitution or something, and you need to do it with regular expressions. And that's getting more advanced into things. But yeah, if you need to use LaTeX, Emacs or Vim are a given, says GNU Ninja. Yeah, absolutely. Not sure why you would use anything else really for LaTeX. Yeah, and yeah. MPPs, Diddy says, Nano over here. Nano ain't bad. Yeah, Joe Panico says, switching from your super interesting topic, DT, I upgraded to Mint 19.3 Tricia yesterday. Went easy, and it's running great. How exciting, huh? I did see the new release of Mint as far as the announcement. I haven't checked it out. I may or may not check it out. Don't distro hop much anymore, even though I have some test machines. How different is Mint 19.3 from 19.2? It seems like the Cinnamon desktop doesn't change that much. But Mint is a fine distribution. Let's see. Emacs. Wow, you know that Bell Labs used to use that as an example of how to write an editor. How not to write an editor. Okay. Well, they can use it as an example, but Emacs is great. Emacs gets a lot of things right. Emacs is not really a text editor either. So that's part of why I think some people would criticize it. Maybe that's why Bell Labs had some problems with it. Emacs is more of its own kind of desktop environment, its own operating system almost. That's going a little too far, its own operating system, but it's not just a text editor, right? You can live and do all your work inside Emacs. I don't care what it is. I can browse the web in Emacs, check my email in Emacs, play video games in Emacs. Emacs isn't a text editor, so comparing Emacs to other text editors and saying, look, it does all this stuff that these other text editors don't do. Well, it's not really a text editor. Yeah, DJ Ware says Emacs has gotten better, but the early versions were awful. Yeah, okay. Can't comment on that. Emacs has been around for decades, though. I'm sure some of the early versions were awful. Yeah, GNU Ninja Emacs is really an eLisp interpreter, yeah. And when he mentions that, I mean, you could actually write scripts in eLisp, and Emacs would be the interpreter. Emacs is what would run those scripts. So yeah, Emacs is way more than just a text editor. That's why when I made that video a couple of weeks ago where I was like, I'm going to cover the basics of Emacs, the text editor, as far as I specifically said, hey, I'm going to cover all the standard key bindings and how to do your basic stuff. It's a basic tutorial on GNU Emacs, the text editor. It's because I didn't do anything else in Emacs other than here's how you would just do some basic text editing in Emacs, because Emacs does so much more than just text editing. All right, guys. Well, I don't know how long we've been streaming here now. And we've been going about an hour. That's a good length to cut this off. Of course, I've actually been going about an hour and 40 minutes, but the video that's actually going to go on YouTube is going to end up being about 1 hour in length, because the first 35 or 40 minutes or so that we streamed was all garbage. Me playing around with camera settings and playing some Christmas music on the recorder. Those of you that missed that, we may do some other, musical performances on live streams at a later date. I don't know. That was just something to kill the time since the stream was going so bad early on. Anyway, but I hope those of you that, were here since the beginning of this hour, again, it's the holiday season. If you're looking to spread some love around and give some projects some money, just donate to the projects you use on a daily basis. Many of those have easy ways to donate. Those that don't, email the devs. Ask them, hey, I want to contribute some money to you. I love what you do. How do I do that? And you know what? If they don't have a way set up for you, or there's no way really for you to contribute money to them, at least give them a thank you. Wish them Merry Christmas, right? Alex, thank you for the super chat. Yeah, send us out with some live music, DT. Yeah, since, you know, the other live music we did is going to be on the parts that are cut out. You know what, we will end the stream with a live performance. Guys, give me another Christmas tune. You guys get to choose. We'll see if we can't figure it out. Yeah, send us out with some Christmas cheer, Pablo. All right. Yeah, no suggestions? Do I have to come up with one? Oh, Holy Night. Okay, I'll have to think about that one. What key do we want to play it in? I had to think about that one a little bit. Also, that's going to be a long song, too. There's so many verses. I mean, you got anything a little shorter to send us out? Last Christmas by Wham. Really? That's what you want, Windows enthusiasts? It would be a Windows enthusiast that would recommend a song by Wham. You know what? Let's just send it out with joy to the world. Why not? All right, guys. Appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Yep, I messed up that ending. All right, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Merry Christmas. Before I go, I want to thank the patrons. Appreciate these guys. These guys help support my work. I want to sincerely thank each and every one of these guys. Without these guys, I wouldn't have got this far. You guys want to support the channel, you guys can find me over on Patreon as well. All right, guys. Peace.